Okay, so we're going to make a little chair like the one in this picture. It is to go with this little diorama box that I'm working on. It's just a cigar box that I have upcycled. Let's see if I can get it right side up. Upcycled up. If you can see in the background, there's a dragon peeking through at these two little fairies who are sort of trapped in this room, nowhere to go, and it needed something, and I had to figure out what it is, and I decided I'm going to sculpt a chair, and it's going to lay on its side right here in the foreground, just to add a little bit of interest in the front of the box. But first I have to make the chair, and it has to be the right size to be scaled to be something that maybe one of these two fellas might have built to put in that space for them. Okay, so I'm going to set this aside. The glue is actually still drying on that, and I'm going to go ahead and take this little ball of clay. This is actually scrap clay. I use scrap clay for projects like this all the time because it's already dirty, and I don't mind using it for a project where it's going to be fully painted, and this is definitely going to be fully painted. So the first thing you want to do is get yourself a piece of cling wrap, and the reason that I use the cling wrap is because it helps me get the clay back up off the surface. And you can see this is really dirty clay, and normally I would not use this for a piece, but for accessories it's perfect. Now what I want to do is roll this out to about I guess a 1/4 inch thickness, like between a 1/4 inch and an 1/8 inch. This is pretty small scale, so this would be about a 1/4 of an inch, and what I want is about an 1/8 of an inch. This is a piece that I already prepared and baked, so we can move on to the next step. But what I did was I rolled this out to the thickness that I wanted. Okay, so what you want to do is decide about how big you think you're going to want this to be, and take a piece like this. And I actually just used scissors, and I went ahead and cut out my shape. I cut both sides and to the front, and I kind of angled it slightly to the back, and then I made a curved back, again just by cutting it with my scissors. And this piece for now I don't need, so I'm going to set it aside until I need another piece of it. And then I just took my fingernail like this, laid it flat on the table, and I went around with my thumbnail and made the general shape that I wanted for this chair. And then, because most chairs have, especially wooden chairs, from use over time, they'll start to get like a groove in them where the wood gets worn a little bit to the shape of a hiney. So I went ahead and I took a large round marker that I happen to have sitting around, and I brought this right to the edge where I could get the marker at it at an angle. See how it's at an angle from my hand? And I made one little impression, and then another little impression, and then with my finger I just kind of finished that off for the roundness of a tushy, and then straighten that front line up again. Sorry about being off center, but I need to be able to see what I'm doing as well as show you. Decided to go to one view on this instead of two. I've been shooting with two cameras and it's a little maddening actually. So I have to figure out how to turn that little whatchamacallit, where is it? That thing off. Where it says Logi from my Logitech camera. If anybody knows how to do that, please let me know. Now this one has a little bit more of a rounded front to it than that one, and I may sand that later. But okay, so next you want to take another piece of that clay and go ahead and make a nice long, straight as you can piece of clay. It doesn't have to be perfect because I kind of want it to look handmade. And then you're going to decide how tall you want the chair to be and make your legs equal lengths, 4 of them. 2. And now they are going to stick to each other because the clay can be pretty sticky. I'm actually making this out of Cosclay because I want it to be durable and I don't want to have to glue it in. Although I may glue it in anyway, but I still want it to be durable. So I'm just going to keep moving one piece over. I'm just trying to get them generally the same size. Obviously, I'm going to have to amend them slightly to get them the way I want. Now, what I did was I went ahead and I cured this with my heat gun. Just laying flat on this porcelain tile. I just went ahead and used my heat gun. I think this one came from the company that makes Genesis paint. It gets to about 400 degrees, so you want to keep it moving when you're using it, which we'll do when we do the legs. I'll show you how I do that. But this clay cures pretty quickly, and it's pretty durable when you superheat it, actually. Even more so, I think, than baking it in the oven. But once we get the basic components hooked together, then we're going to go ahead and put this in the oven. So, okay, so I want to make sure these are flat on the ends. And again, I'll just use my nail. Flat on the ends. And more or less round and straight. And you want to line them up. I know it sounds silly to say that out loud because it seems obvious, but you can real quick forget to do that part, and then your legs look nothing like each other. Now, the reason that I go ahead and pre-bake on the tile is because I can do things like this, push them, and they sort of stay stuck. And then if I need to shorten one or lengthen another, that's easy enough to do. And I'm using this just to line up one end by pushing all of them. And then I can cut the other end of any that need it real quick. See, and see how each one lost a little bit different amount to get that straight line. And again, save that little bit of clay. You will find a use for it. The Cosclay, in my opinion, is precious. I don't waste it. Okay, so I have 4 legs. I'm going to move this other clay because it can be reused. As long as you don't bake it, it can be reused. All right, once you touch these, once they've started baking, they're going to roll when you blow the heat gun on them. And we are going to bake this later, so I'll show you what happens. This is not attached by suction to the tile anymore. And it will blow away. See? Like that. I just keep the heat gun moving. I'm going to cure those legs. Now this isn't going to thoroughly cure them. You probably want to stick this in an oven for like 10 minutes at 275. But I find when I'm doing things that are this thin or smaller, I can cure it just fine with my heat gun. And it actually activates the plasticizer in it so well that that's all they need. So, okay. Now I'm going to do the irritating part, which is to move them. And now they're going to want to try to roll around. So I'm going to use this tool right here to keep that from happening. Oh, whoop, lost one. Lost two. Okay, where'd you go? I can feel the heat from it, so I know it's on my chair. There you go. Okay. All right, that's pretty good. All right, so next step, we're going to use Bacon Bond adhesive. Now make sure you turn the chair so the part that we created that looks like the top is down. So turn that down like that. And Bacon Bond is like adhesive glue. You're just going to put a little drop on each corner where you want the leg to go. And don't overdo it or it's just going to ooze everywhere and make a mess, which it may anyway, but okay. So we're going to stick. Now it's up to you. You can do them one at a time, sticking them in, which I may actually go ahead and make my cross braces, which will help each leg stand up. Okay, I'm going to roll this cross brace even thinner than the legs. So, oops, over here. I'm going to roll that even thinner. Pardon the paint on my hands. I use my thumbnail a lot as a paint palette when I was painting those guys' little faces. I thought they would be a fun little project, and I found a whole bunch of cigar boxes at the flea market and thought, how cute would those be as a little room with a view? Or in these guys' case, the room with a view they wish they didn't have. Okay. Anyway, here we go. So I'm going to leave this about the length it would need to be to go all the way around all four legs. And I'm going to lay the first two legs on it and press them in. Let's line the chair up. Oh, I have them too wide, don't I? Okay, easy enough. Scooch that over. Oh wait, I have an idea. There we go. That'll do it. Okay, scooch those together like that. And there's always a solution or a problem, a solution for a problem. Okay, and I'm going to run it over the top this way. Okay, cut that off. Take them out of heat gun level. Okay. I'm going to make these two. The back legs. Little flat blade helps it release. Alright. Make sure we're not stuck to the blade. I'm going to come over here and stick these two into that. Okay. Well, I can see this is going to be more problematic than I thought. So maybe we're going to try with the soft clay instead of the baked clay. See, it's a little trial and error with everything you do. There we go. It sticks much better to the soft clay, which makes sense. Okay, so that's 2 down. And I need another length, and I'll use that for another chair or something later. Oh, yeah, I want to put a chair in that witch's cage. Just thinking out loud there. And this wrap will go around the other 2 legs across the front. That ought to be long enough. Turn the chair. Nope, can't turn the chair, so let's move the wrap. And I think just to make things simpler, I'm going to bring this on the plastic because it wanted to stick before. And the plastic does release. It doesn't stick to plastic very well. Okay, just line it up right here. Lay in the first leg, lined up with there. Lay in the second leg, lined up with there. Bring this across. Go all the way across. Stick them to each other in the middle. Okay. Now the glue, actually, no sense wasting it. The glue that I put over here had transferred to this with the legs. When I moved the legs, it was stuck to the bottom of the leg. I don't know if you could see that on camera, but it did, so I didn't reapply. Clean that off of there until I get to it later. It doesn't need it. Okay. Super easy way to make a little tiny chair that's just decorative. It doesn't actually have to hold any weight, especially because this one's going to be laying on its side. And I'm going to take these 2 and pinch them together so they stay stuck. Okay. Now, if you have something like this where you need a little tiny pinch to get these 2 bands to go together, you can either use a tool on either side, or you can grab like a pair of tweezers like this and just give it that little scrunch. Okay. I painted this room box up to look like it's a little abandoned birdhouse or something that they're chilling in, since they're little fairies. And I didn't want the room to look perfect by any means, so okay, I'm going to take a little piece here, stick that on, actually I think I'm going to stick it on the inside and use a little dab of Bacon Bond just to make sure it adheres. And use this to help me get it in there. Oopsie. Center. Little handmade chair. Another little dab. of the bacon bond. This kind of looks like it had been repaired at some point, which I'm kind of loving. Okay. And again, this is just Cosclay polymer clay and bacon bond. There's no wire, but again, this is not going to be a load-bearing chair. Okay, now use your heat gun again, but this time start with the gun farther away. Before I was holding the gun probably 2 inches, 3 inches away, and this time I'm more like 4 or 5. And once you can see things are not shifting or dropping, then you can go ahead and get closer, because remember, you also have to bake the seat, because I had removed the seat, the pre-baked seat, and went ahead with the one that I showed you in the demo. Hope you can hear me over this thing. I know it's very loud. Oh, make sure if your clay is close by that you move it, because the heat gun is pretty hot. And you should be able to recognize when it's done, because everything will turn matte, and then all of a sudden you'll start to see shine again. Okay. All right, now I'm going to try and free this and sit it up the other way. You can already see this is firmed up quite a bit. I'm just going to cure the top side to make sure that the seat itself is cured. And again, I'm holding the heat gun actually pretty close. Now, if you're working on a face, I would not recommend getting this close, because what you can end up doing is, if you trap air, you're going to end up with a moony or even a raised bubble. And you don't want to do that to a face. But on a piece like this, and like the two guys in this, they were cured completely with the heat gun. They didn't even need to go in the oven. They're really small. I think each one is like 2.5 inches, more or less. Maybe 3. I haven't measured them. Okay. Ooh. Let the heat get on my bacon bond. Okay. That's pretty good. I'm going to actually let that cool for a minute, and I'm going to go ahead and make the back part of the chair. Now, I know these legs are not like perfectly level. Oh, the other thing I want to do is see what it looks like scale-wise in the house. Now, these little guys, they're pretty darn small. Let me see if I can... I haven't made anything this small in a long time, because my eyesight's not great. All right, so you want the height of the chair to be about the height of your character from the bottom of his foot to roughly the back of the knee, but I'm going to go with the top of the knee, and that's pretty small, so I may actually have to trim some of the leg off of here, which is easy to do. I just want to get this a little bit shorter. You can see they're fully cured. Okay, sits flat enough. Maybe a hair more off that one. There we go. Now that looks like it's about the right size if this little guy wanted to stand up and go sit on it. So now I'm going to put a back on it so that when it's laying down it looks the way I'm hoping it will look. Let that box go sit. Okay, all these little bits, once they're baked, are no good, so we're going to throw those away. All right, and bring back my scrap clay. And I'll actually take these pieces that I just processed again, and I'll use them. Matter of fact, I might be able to get the chair back out of, yeah, I bet I can get a chair back out of that piece. I'm going to want to curve it, so I just need to cut a nice long skinny piece like that. Put those scraps over there. Another piece off on this side. See how that looks. Pretty good. Okay, so I'm just going to square it up. Okay, and these scraps will become the upper part of the seat back. Okay. Okay, there we go. So I need 2 equal lengths, same thickness. Okay, use my scalpel here, my X-Acto blade, I mean, and again about there. Oops. Move one next to the other. Cut again, and be careful because your tile is hot from having cured that other piece on there. Alright, square that little corner off. Check it for length. It's going to have a bow to it, so that looks about right. Move this out of the way. Okay, and again, a little drop of Bake and Bond. This is made by Cosclay I, and it's literally called Bake and Bond. It is a liquid bakeable adhesive for oven baked clay. Once these 2 pieces come together and are cured, they're never coming apart. So you'd really have to ruin it to get them apart. So you'd have to decide pretty quick if you're going to want to do that or not. I'm going to assume you do not want to take this apart. Wouldn't be any point in it. All right, make them flat just to get a better adhesive bond. I'm making them flat on the end. Stick it to the back of the seat. Now you could also, and I probably should also, stick some Bake and Bond under here just to make sure, since I'm not actually seaming these 2 pieces together, that they, I'm just going to stick some on the side there since that one is grabbing already. All right, and a little more there, just a little glue. All right, now these are too tall. I can see that's going to be an awfully high chair back. Okay, take some of that away. May or may not, I don't know yet, need to cure this on account of, yeah, I think I better, on account of, I need those to stick to that and be strong enough to support this as it cures or bonds together with that. So I'm going to go ahead. Oh shoot. I just remembered I wanted it to curve. It may be too late now. Well, let's see. What can I do to remedy that it's not curved? Let's see if the heat will help. Pretty good. Okay, so now I'm going to take this, which is still hot, so be careful, and put a little more, ouch, Bacon Bond, because it is the only thing I have that's going to grab here, and get this in here. I think what I'm going to have to do is rig this laying down. You don't want this Bacon Bond coming off and sticking to your tile. I have found when that happens, I have a devil of a time getting it off again. So lay down a little piece of tape, put the piece down, put the chair back down, and if you don't want the chair back perfectly flat, you put something under it that's not too thick, but is metal, preferably, because there's a lot of heat that comes off of this. Okay. Okay, here goes nothing. Oh, nope, I'm losing it. Gotta be quick. Need one under the front too. It's not like real life where you can clamp things. I want to encourage this to stay about like that. We'll try again. Maybe hold the heat gun further away. And keep looking, because if it slips too far away, it's not going to stay. Looks like it's stuck pretty good. Once that Bacon Bond sets up, you're pretty good to go. Okay. Ouch. Very hot. Okay, so I'm going to try to get it up on its side and try to cure it from the back. Okay, my heat gun has a hot and then a cool button, and you just turn the cool button on. That's why it sounds like I'm turning it off and turning it on again. It just cools the coils off so that it's not sitting there super hot when you pick it up and put it down. Okay, now that's it's pretty wiggly right now, but that's because it's still really hot. But that basically is the chair. Now, once this has cooled off enough for me to touch it without worrying, I will add some more Bacon Bond and maybe a little clay around the base here, and maybe add a little decorative piece from here to here. If you can see that. I'll add a little decorative piece from the back here to the seat. I'll probably add a little bit of clay here to clean the look of the front of it up, where it's, you know, I could only touch it so long without collapsing it into itself, but you can see just even a little piece like that, and you can take a tool of any kind and make some lines in that newly added clay that make it look like it was maybe some cording going around, and decorate it however you want. And there is your little chair. It probably took longer because I was talking about it than it normally would, but here's the little chair, and it's going to be sort of like that, like maybe this one. Oops, let's see. Maybe this guy launched himself out of it and it went and got knocked over, but see, it just needed a little bit of something in the foreground just to pull the room together, and it's going to be a chair. So that was my little project video for the week. I'm hoping to be able to do. Okay, so that's the end of the video, and I wanted to show you. Here is the finished chair, all done and ready to go. Let's put a little bit of light on it. There we go. And it goes right in the little box like that. Can you see? Turned out pretty cute. Hard to light it up. There we go. Now we got it. Just what the room needed. Just a little chair, and it's quite durable. I kind of like it leaning against the wall there. Like it fell over part way. And he jumped right out of it. Adds a little animation, actually. But the shadow box is another thing. The back wall is also made out of polymer clay, and there's a space. You can see it's quite a deep box, but it's a shallow room. There's a space, and then mounted on the back inside wall is the sculpted dragon. Pretty cute. I like it. It was fun to make. But thanks for watching, and if you have any questions about making any kind of prop, if I can help you figure it out, I'm happy to. Maybe I'll go ahead and make one, whatever it is you're trying to make, and throw a little video together for YouTube or just for Facebook. Come find me on Facebook. I'm happy to help. Have a good day. Bye.